incoming message.
Hello? I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
We interrupt to bring you this.
We've hijacked your daily dose of regurgitated news to bring you Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed. Will you be ready? And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth. My name is Caroline Bell Tumblety and I am your host on this lovely Sunday. It is the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. And I think Guy Fawkes was actually the guy that was to light the fuse, and it never happened. So I guess he never ever lit that fuse. And also, there's a lot of other stuff that gets tied in with the Guy Fawkes. It's not quite what we see it as. Like, some people are like, why would I celebrate a failure? So there's a lot more to that, like a plot to to actually blow up the Houses of Parliament. It failed. So I guess we kind of commiserate with our bonfires. And right now there's a lot of fireworks going off here in Scotland. Like, we like our traditions, these Halloween, Guy Fawkes, Easter. We like our holidays. We get excited about them, and bonfires are cool, and there's a lot of kind of safety precautions that go up. Fireworks, I feel really bad for the animals. I hope your animals are indoors, get your windows shut, like blinds, and hopefully they're okay. Like, keep your pets indoors. And for what I saw about the bonfires that they were erecting here, they were in fields, so they were far away from any kind of house or like community or anything. So it's almost like the municipals here got that one right. Like the designated areas where the kids can actually get together and the adults, and they don't do the marshmallows here. That's the one thing they don't do. Like, that's not quite caught on, like the s'mores. Hope one day it will. Anyway, get lost in my own train of thought. I'd like to thank the listeners who have chosen to listen in today. This is a special day for me. This day marks the 1 year of me being a host on KCR Radio. Can you believe that? It's a year. I can't. And I never in a million years dreamed that I would be doing this. It wasn't really on my radar. And I would like to thank Tina Marie for the opportunity to host on KCR Radio and allowing me to have a voice in a time when most are being suppressed, and that's the truth. So a big thank you to Tina Marie for that. And also a thank you to Solaris Blue Raven, who just gave me a tiny little nudge, and for her honesty, it's just the goodness of truth is what I feel for Solaris Blue Raven. I am deeply appreciative of her work. And I'd like to thank David Cook. He had me on his show, I think it was a week before I actually had my first show. So big thank you to David Cook, who has the Ghostly Hour 2.0, and that's after Cosmic Connection. So after my show, there's Cosmic Connection, and then there's David Cook, and he's a blast. You should really, really listen in. And I want to thank Madeline Rudy and Merlin the Wizard. Madeline's been on my show more than once. I think actually she's been on 3 times. I just love the conversations that we have. They always feel I learn something, and I've heard Madeline say this as well. It's really good when you can talk to like-minded people, and something that you kind of have been kind of playing with in your mind, you can bounce it off them, and they just like when you're kind of talking to like-minded, these things are they're amazing. Like how quickly we can shift and grow. And also, I want to, and last week I was actually on Life in a Hologram with Madeline Rudy and Merlin the Wizard, and I had a lot of fun. That was very nice. Thank you so much. And then I had the awesome Leo Bonomo, and he was my guest. I have to get on his show. Like I just found him delightful. What an awesome host and individual. Like I just felt and he was really good, you know. He had said to me, like, this was at the time when my mom was having she was having a lot of vision problems. Like it was a kind of touch and go there. I mean, she was having problems where she was only seeing shadows, but it was strange in that it would come and go. Like she did have a cataract that seemed very aggressive, and we got that removed. But the thing was, Leo had kind of said to me something about her left eye, and I was like, no, it's her right eye. And when we got to the clinic that morning when she was having the surgery done, they had her done for the wrong eye. And I immediately I had sent Leo an email like updating him how she was doing, and I was like, you'll never believe it, they had her down for the wrong eye. I mean, she's already like pretty blind in her left eye, so like that one doesn't have like the cataract. The cataract was in the right eye. But could you imagine if I never seen that? So a big thank you to Leo. He kind of gave me a nod, so I was kind of checking on these things when I had her at the clinic. So that's a big thank you. He's a delightful man. He really is. I listened to him on the show with David Cook. Really great show. And so where to go from here? I thought I would kind of do like a kind of review, like kind of going through my archives, like starting for the first show. The first show was interesting. That was what would we say, trial by fire, maybe? Like it was just a combination of misunderstandings, and the guest that I had scheduled, like there was a crossing the wires, so I pretty much ended up on my lonesome the very first show that went out. And you know, I haven't even listened to that show again. Near I have. I uploaded it onto YouTube when I started about 6 months ago, uploading them, and I kind of heard the 30 minutes of it. And boy, I can talk, can't I? And also, like, life experience, you know, like you just have so much to draw on. It's always evolving, and there's always more. And where I am at in my life is I don't ever see the day when I'll stop learning. You know, there's always something. And also, I change my mind a day. Like, I will be all in on something, and then it's I'll get more information, and then the more information I get, it's almost like the more information I get, I can make a much more balanced decision or choice on things. And sometimes I will go in, I will just barrel straight in, and then discover that you're going the wrong way, Caroline. Turn around, back up. And it's like one of those trucks, you know, you're beep, 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 and getting yourself in the right direction. That's how it seems to me anyway in this life. And then I had my guest that had been scheduled for the first show. He actually joined me the following Sunday, and he was a lovely, lovely man, Dick Larson. He kind of educated me on Maitreya and the return of Maitreya, and it was very, very interesting because I have been familiar with the masters and ancient traditions. So these things are not really new to me, but it always takes a different level, somewhere where I never really thought it would go. And I think the first time I had Dick on the show, I think I had a concern that where's the women, you know? Where's the women? Like it's always and I'm not saying that these mystics and these masters are no tremendous gifts when they're I think they kind of keep a balance. It seems like we have very few of them now, and our balance is not there anymore. But it's the women I'm more concerned. Like, don't get me wrong, I love men. I really, really love men, and I like that whole dynamic that they have. You know what? Like that. This might sound like I'm going off subject, but I'm really not. You know, my daughter was reading something to me earlier the day, and she was saying that pregnant women, when they live in an area where there might be a derelict building across the street or an abandoned field that might have, like in neighborhoods that might be a wee bit run down. Studies have shown that women who live in like impoverished areas or run down areas, their testosterone is much, much higher. And I thought to myself, that is very, very interesting. And it also tells you like they're ready to fight, you know, like it's like a survival thing, I think. But I found that really interesting. And then my third week, I had the lovely Madeline Rudy. And that was my first time. I think I had actually met Madeline one time prior, and it was on Solaris's Ravenstars Witching Hour on Revolution Radio. And that was when I first met Madeline. And since then, I've been on multiple shows and also she has been on my show multiple times, and I got to be on her show last week, which was really, really fun. So there's I have a lot in common with Madeline as well. Like we have kind of similar some of the trainings that we done like kind of cross over, like especially with the hypnosis and stuff. But we also seem like I found out like the last time she was on the show that we kind of did approach things quite differently. Like her spiritual path was did differ. But we kind of drew the same conclusions with regards to certain trainings that we had. And the fourth, once I was doing it for a month, I had the really, really awesome Rennie Colston. And Rennie is also somebody that I became familiar through listening to Solaris's shows on Revolution Radio. And I think I did hear her on Hyperspace as well. And she is just like, to me, she is a truly gifted healer. And her experiences are... I think she paid for me anyway. Anytime that I have interviewed Rennie, I tend to see the things that she's talking about. Like when she described like her friends, like it was her horse, and her horse was really in serious trouble, and Rennie was doing her remote healing, which was it was kind of miraculous what happened. So Rennie Colston, a big thank you to Rennie for coming on the show. And then the following week I had Jeff Wilwine. And Jeff Wilwine is like, he is a powerhouse. Like he won't be told. He is his research is his. Yeah, his conclusions are his. And I love it. I love that he is out of the box and nobody can put him in a box, you know, and he's worked really, really hard on this. I mean, the books that he's put together, the videos he's put together, he's amazing. I really, really enjoyed having Jeff on the show. I think I had him on a couple of times as well. And the pictures alone of the petroglyphs in his books, he has over like 300 pictures. It's really, really quite amazing. And for me, it was really, it was a bit of a thrill, like having him on the show, because I saw multiple aerial phenomenon when I was in Arizona. And it always just left me scratching my head because they didn't fit in any kind of I don't know, like it just didn't fit. Like I remember watching the orange amber lights, like they came up over the mountain. I think it was Estrella Mountain Estrella. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And I was outside cleaning up the garden because the kids had been out there, and I was just picking up toys and stuff. And I I just glanced over my shoulder, and it was actually it looked like a snake coming up over the mountain. And what it was at least a dozen of these orange kind of or amber. Like what it was there was no glare for them. They were like it was, and they kind of blinked. And I know that there was people who had said that they were what do you call them? The balloons that they put up with the candles in them, lanterns. And that wasn't what we were looking at. And also, like, they made formations, they moved around. There was no sound. Like, that was the other thing. And I remember just grabbing the camera, and it was a wee Samsung I had, and I videotaped it. And I mean, the videotape didn't show near what we were seeing, you know, like it was kind of at the tail end, like once that I closed my mouth. And also the feeling that I had, it wasn't ominous or anything like that. I didn't feel one way or the other. Like I was basically in this kind of position of going, what is that? You know, that it wasn't fitting any ideas that I had or any images that I had. It just didn't fit. And the second time that I saw something there, it was a really, really bright white light. And that did a figure eight. And it continued to do a figure eight. And it was in the desert. I mean, it was Arizona. And we lived in Maricopa, which was, it wasn't very developed. There was a lot of desert land that had been undeveloped. So when I would look out in the window in certain rooms, it was just vast desert. And it caught my eye this one night, and I stood there and I pulled up the blinds and I'm looking at it, and it's doing this figure eight, and it's dipping down below like some of the like kind of little hilly areas, and then it would come back up again. And then the weirdest thing happened. It stopped. And it must have turned because all of a sudden it was like a spotlight on me. And it came straight at me. And I stood there. I just stood there with my hands on my hip going, what is that? And then it got close to the window where I was. And then it went up and over the house. And then I ran into the other room and I watched it like move really fast, really, really fast. And the idea came to me that it was out for a joyride. No, I don't know. Like, joyride. Like, why would I even think that? Like, what was that about? But the whole thing, the reason I bring that up is this is the things that Jeff Wilwine talks about. He talks about the Phoenix Lights and also these petroglyphs in the sky, like and that was basically doing an infinity sign that I saw. So anyway, that was it's just, and also I have to thank Solaris Blue Raven because I would never even have known about Rennie Colston, Jeff Wilwine. Like I would never have known who they were, you know. And a big thank you. And I know that there's more and I'll get to them as I'm going through my little review here. The next guest was Malcolm Robinson. And Malcolm Robinson is, he's basically an investigator of UFOs. And I think what he does is he takes other people's stories and he puts them into book form. And he's been quite successful at that. And I think he joined me for an hour on the show. And it was really lovely to talk to somebody who speaks like me, as he is a fellow Scot. And then the following week, I had a lady by the name of Athena. Now, this was interesting because this was basically an instinctual thing on my part. I remember listening to something she was talking about, and she had a very mild, like, kind of manner and a very maybe monotone kind of sound to her voice. And she was basically the channel that she put together, she was naming it Human Witness. And my thing was, I just wanted to talk to her, I just wanted to find out, like, where and how she was coming up with the information that she had. And it was a really enjoyable interview, I would say. Like, I don't really interview, I've noticed. I'm more of a conversationalist. And I don't think I shine in the interview realm. Like KCOR has Solaris Blue Raven, who's really, really awesome. She has Madeline Rudy, and Merlin the Wizard, who that combo is really quite a dynamo. And the questions that they ask are really good. These are also the questions that I would ask. So it's like, and then you have Tina. Tina Marie had restricted airspace, and the archives are available. And these are also wonderful shows. Like, she has so many people on that, and so interesting. These stories, these military individuals, when they come on and they share things, well, as much as they can. And yeah, it's tremendous. So I think I'm more of a conversationalist. I don't see myself as an interviewer. Like, I don't have the kind of I don't know. Like, I suppose I could. I could really train myself, like, to be more investigative. But I don't think that's my thing, and it's taken me a year to kind of figure that out. And I am looking at who I had. Let me see here. We had, so I had Athena, and that ended the year. I think that was December, like around December 18th. And then we went into 2023. And my first guest of the year was Solaris Blue Raven, who I was just so thrilled that that she joined me, that she came on the show. And yeah, and I get to talk to Solaris a lot, but it is a thrill, like when I can ask Solaris, especially having read like her books, and there's questions because I highlight, and then I can ask her them, and sometimes I think that if I come up with a question for Solaris, there must be others out there that are wondering the same thing. And she's just a wellspring of information. And then the following week, it was January 15th, 2023, I had the amazing Tina Marie Carquet. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm hoping I did. But I'm going to, and I found out all about her book writing, and I'm going to talk about that more when I come back, because can you believe that we are coming up on our first break? So hang out in your seats, listeners. I will continue my review when we come back in 3 minutes.
You're listening to Navigating the Truth with Caroline Bell Tumblety, where the truth survives and the lies are exposed.
I just want to assure you that everything is under control. There's been no damage except for some temporary malfunction of the radio.
Come be a part of this awakening by joining us in chat.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you. You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by now back to examining the narratives and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety. Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth. My name is Caroline Bell Tumblety, and I am your host. And I am doing my year review, and it feels really awesome, like going through the people, like in just a year, like there's so many. And we were on the awesome Tina Marie, and I got to read Tina Marie's book, and I found out she had another book, and it was a children's book. I think it was The Lost Sock, or the Golden Retriever and the Lost Sock. Well, I might be messing this up, and hopefully Tina will correct me. But it was just such a fun. It was just a fun show for me. Like, it was fun, like because I was getting to know a little more about the producer, the CEO, and the owner of KCR Radio, who I didn't really have much knowledge of, other than I had been on Solaris's show. I think I'd been on a couple of times on Hyperspace, and I had talked to Tina in the break, and it was just awesome, like, to just have like a conversation about the process that she went through with the book, and it all came to her in a dream. And I'm going to hold you to this, Tina Marie. There's supposed to be 3 books. You can't just leave it at the one. And also, like, I actually think it would make either a great like series, like for television, or even a movie. Like, possibilities are endless. And then I had the awesome David Cook, and it was January 22nd, and I got to find out quite a bit about David and how David is actually the rightful king of England, just so everybody knows. And that tower is actually his, and he was telling me a great story. It was he went into the Tower of London, and there was like, they have, like, I don't know if they're beefeaters or what you call them, like the kind of the military for the royals. And the guy told them that they sell swords upstairs. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, like I guess we're taking it back. And the thing about that is, David, when you become the King of England, remember that they took our lands, and I would like them back. Thank you very much. And a few castles as well. Just throw that in for good measure. And maybe a boat. I would like a boat. Yes. And then it was January 29th, and I had Samuel Chong on. And Samuel he'd sent me his book, and I read his book. His book was great, and the story was basically, it was somebody else's experience, and he was promoting it, and he had actually met this gentleman. I can't remember where he lived, but it was somewhere kind of tropical, and very, very interesting story. And he is he's out there in the circuit. Like, I keep seeing other shows popping up that are interviewing him. Like, I think he was even at some like a seminar where he was speaking about it. So very, very, very interesting guy. And I guess he's a translator for the court systems. So I guess he translates like Chinese to English. And he also wrote a book himself. And I think it was the 33 and a third degree. It was kind of about secret societies and stuff. So yeah, very, very interesting individual, Samuel Chong. And then who did I have next? I had Derek Conduit, and Derek's the B guy, like the Shungite guy. And he's another one. Like, I don't know if he was always into the paranormal. I'm thinking probably, but he's kind of branched into like this Bigfoot, like we like a bus and big store, beautiful store that he has set up. All these massive crystals and minerals, and yeah, I think you should check Derek out. And also his story about the bees. I mean, he was a beekeeper, and he discovered like the properties of shungite, and its protective elements towards EMF, like kind of radio waves, microwave, all that kind of thing. And his after he had a collapse in his beehives, he was actually able to save them, and not only that, they thrived. So yeah, Derek Conduit. And then February 12th, that was the first time I had Zoe B. Greystorm on the show. And Zoe, I only heard about Zoe because Solaris had interviewed her, and basically I was listening to the show, and it was, I just, again, it's an intuitive thing with me. I wanted to talk to her for one thing. I wanted to have a conversation where she sounded really, really interesting, really creative, and a lot of her experiences were strangely familiar. So it was a case of, let me pick your brains, but not really. I also I wanted to promote her. I think she is a great talent. Her art is it's different, but there is a genre for it. There definitely is a market for it, and she's so sweet as well, like crocheting and knitting, and makes these little kind of fairy beings. Or yeah, Zoe B. Greystorm. So big shout out to Zoe. And then I managed to talk my daughter into coming on the show. So what date was that? It was February 19th, 2023. I had my very own Willow Tumblety join me. And Willow's awesome, and I'm not just saying that because she's my daughter. She is. She's young. She deserves to have the best life possible. And she's such a caring being. I shared this story recently with somebody, when Willow was a child, right up until about the age of 10, when she would meet somebody, she would bow. It was really wild. When she was 3 years old, you would introduce her to somebody and she would bow. It was always hands to the chest and she would bow. And I never ever said anything to her. But by the time she was I thought it was really endearing, actually. By the time she got to about 9 or 10, other people started to point it out to her, so she stopped doing it. And but I always remember that, she came in honoring the being in others, that's what that whole bowing is about. I honor the being in you, you honor the being in me. And yeah. And then we fast forward to February 26, 2023. And I had Dick Larson. Dick Larson came back. And again, I was able to ask him about the women this time. And he told me, it was kind of interesting what he said. He said that Maitreya actually takes on different personifications, and that there are times when Maitreya is a female. So women weren't left out, and I was really happy to hear that. And also, I would, I think the information that Dick gave me was that when the return of Maitreya happens, it's it will happen in a kind of a psychic way, or a telepathic way. That was my understanding of it. And yeah, let me see here, moving along. I have to move this up so I can see. Okay, and then I had Robert Wagner. Now, I had been a fan of Robert Wagner's for a long time. Read his books, I would read his magazine. And I always found him a really kind individual, a gentle being, knowledgeable. And I found his work fascinating. And also he has this platform with the magazine where he invites others to share their lucid dreams. It's a whole community he got going on there. And I noticed that he is doing quite a bit of workshops now. He's doing a lot of teaching, which is really awesome. And a big thank you to Robert Wagner for being my guest. And then I had Russ Tanner. And again, Russ is somebody that I only heard about through, I was familiar with the information, just being the nosy person that I am. I was always wondering what that was in the sky. You know, I actually remember it really distinctly. It was a no, I'm not going to go there. I'll go there later. But Russ Tanner, again, big thank you to Solaris Blue Raven. That was how I heard about Russ, and he was an awesome guest. It was like it was such a good rapport between us. Conversation was really easy with him, and he actually confirmed a lot of stuff for me. You know, that had been kind of question marks. You know, as far as the mercury, like I knew it was a poison, and I knew I had been poisoned. Like I knew it. I knew it when I was young. Like the first mercury filling, I had developed all these crazy allergies and also attitude. Like you wouldn't believe. Like became like unruly, but no like bad. Just a bit like kind of a bit mouthy maybe, and we can blame it on that. Like it was messing with my brain, you know. So there you go, and a big thank you to Russ Tanner for being my guest. And then I had Zoe back. It was March 19th, and I had Zoe back. And I had joined Zoe's Patreon, like supporting her and like trying to be like supportive in a sense. And don't really have like the spendable, like the disposable money, like to really kind of made any difference for her. But I figured if I had her on the show, the same like Solaris was already like having her on Revolution Radio, and I didn't think it would hurt like to have her on Navigating the Truth, like totally different times and kind of different show. So yeah, big thank you to Zoe. And also Zoe is I believe Zoe is somebody that if I ever was stuck, I could ask her like to come on. It's the same with my daughter. Like there's a couple of people that I have. Patricia Hill's another one. Like and this is really nice. Like if I'm ever feeling kind of stuck for what to for a guest or what to talk about, like can always just bring on somebody and just talk about what's going on in the world. You know, sometimes we just have to talk about stuff in order to let it go. You know, like it just kind of builds, and it's not negative to actually vent and share your opinions and have conversations about like things that we don't agree with, you know, and things that we agree with. Like there's yeah. So big thank you, Zoe. And then I had another opportunity to have Renee Colston on the show, and again it was a fantastic show. Like I just love her energy. I love her approach, you know, like the field, you know, she refers to it as the field, and you're never ever not in the field is basically the message that I got for Renee was you can never not be in that field. We can never not be in the field. So what we choose to do with it is really down to us, you know, whether we sense it, whether we work with it, whether we ignore it, you know, these are all perfectly, these are all choices, you know, that we can make. So that was Renee, and that was March 26th. So then I really enjoyed this show. This was John Savage again. This was Solaris Blue Raven. I had never heard of John Savage. I had only heard him through Solaris's show here on KCR Radio. And I found him delightful. I found him to be a gentleman. I found him to be very caring, you know, towards the spirit world, and also people who had lost a loved one, lost a friend. He seemed to have this really calm ability to bring peace, you know, like to bring comfort, which I think if you're in the paranormal, that's really up there high. Like David Cook is the same. Like they have this a real genuine desire to communicate and also to share what they are finding. So a big thank you to John Savage. He was an absolutely wonderful guest. And I'm moving along here. And then I had the awesome Barbara DeLong. And I believe Barbara had released a book that was about Roswell. And it was basically, but she didn't want to talk about that. I remember that. She didn't want to talk about that. She wanted to talk about something entirely different. So we did. And she also had shared that she was putting together a book, and I believe the book was 20 years after the Oracle deck that she had put together. And that's a beautiful deck. I have that deck. And so I'm pretty sure she's published the book. I think actually I had saw her. I think she was interviewed about it recently or last couple of months. So a big thank you to Barbara DeLong. And then I had April 16th. Who did I have? I had Darius J. Wright. And Darius is an out-of-body experiencer. And his take on it is different from Robert Wagner, the lucid dreaming. Robert had a very respectful attitude towards the realms that he was finding himself in, and I think that is who he is. You know, he will proceed with respect in the realms that he finds himself in. Darius, the same thing. Like he actually went through like the whole what do you call it? When your body, I forget now. Like it's actually a precursor to the outer body, but for the most part, people get afraid. You know, I remember having this paralyzed. That's what it is. It's sleep paralysis. I had that, like, especially when I was younger. I used to get it, and my daughter also got it. And it felt like people were shaking the bed or something. Like it was really quite intense. And because I think what it is you're in between dimensions right at that point, and they're encouraging you to come out, but some of them are really not. And he was very enlightening as far as sharing very candidly his experiences, what he had found. And I think that was when we discovered that he was able to see thoughts, people's thoughts, and in the astral plane or the lower astral plane, or it was this plane. And it was one of his friends that he had visited, and to confirm it, he called him and asked him if he was constructing something in the backyard. And the answer was no, but I had been thinking about it. I had been planning it. So actual thoughts, he was able to see like the actual beginnings a project and how these things can be manifested. I thought it was fascinating because I thought he was peeking into a realm that could actually be the realm where we manifest, or at least one of them. But I also had the thought that back in the day, the Victorians actually had come up with quite a few contraptions that, and they were photographing thought. They were actually photographing thought, and they were photographing dreams. And so this is not new technology. And the fact that we can access these places and gain knowledge and just build on the knowledge, I think is absolutely fascinating. And again, when you get talking to somebody like that who has had all these experiences, you're thinking somebody listening could actually hear something that he might have said that helped them or put them on the path to start learning how to discipline the body so that you actually have the energy to step outside it. Now, as I have got older, that whole sleep paralysis and stuff doesn't happen. Like, I don't have that anymore. And it has changed. The whole experience has changed. Like, even how I go about it. Like, there's different mechanisms now that seem to be in place, especially in myself. So I don't have that that sleep paralysis hurdle anymore. That just doesn't seem to be something I have to contend with. But I did when I was younger. I definitely did. I remember it quite often. And let's move along. April 23rd, I had my daughter again join me. And I think I ranted in this one. That's the thing. She'll just let me go, and then she'll put in like something really calm and thought out, and she always makes me think, we don't agree all the time, and I think that's why our relationship is as strong as it is. We're willing to listen to each other. We're willing to talk through what is going on, or how we interpret what is going on. And I am so grateful, like, that I have her here with me in Scotland. Like, I just find that it's comforting. It's comforting to know where she is and that she's here and she's doing well, and she's going to have the life, as she's already living the life that there'll be more though. She needs to, like, what it is? The people who hire her need to appreciate her. You do not get these kind of people very often. She's a hard worker. She's conscientious, and she's a blast. She's funny as heck. So that's my tense. I could go on and on about my daughter. I just love her. And then, this was fun. This was a fun show. I had Steph Northcourt with me, and Steph is actually your yoga teacher. And I mean, when I first came here, I went to the local gym and I would take a yoga class, and there was this lovely little lady that gave the yoga class, and when Willow came, she would do the yoga with me and she would do the gym. And then we went into lockdown and it was like, oh no, gym closed. So it's like, well, we got to do. So we were doing it in the house. We were doing a lot of yoga in the house. And then I discovered Steph, 3 times yoga. And that was, I believe that was 2021. And just the fact that she was, there was a lot of hoops to jump through, like, as far as like, how many she could have in the room, like, wearing your mask when you came into the room, taking it off when you go to your mat. There was a lot of these things, and she did it with class. Let me tell you, she was so delightful to have like a conversation where, and to see her like to be in her element, like doing something that she loves, and to hear her say that when that she's surprised when people show up. I'm like, you don't get more humble than that, And she's an awesome teacher, and she does it with it's a serenity to her. So I really, really appreciated Steph Northcourt for being on the show. It was tremendous to just have a conversation where I just loved it. I can hear the music. Look at that. Coming up on, this is the long break, listeners, and grab your tea, your coffee, your water, your beverage, and I will be back with the rest of the review of the year. So be back in 6 minutes.
You've been listening to Navigating the Truth, a show that will inspire you to transform the world around you, including your health. For more information on the show, Navigating the Truth, and the host, Caroline Bell Tumblety, as well as services she offers, please visit her website at souliam.org. That's SOULIAM.org.
It's as simple as that.
Navigating the Truth live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I see incredible potential here.
Stop being corrupted by the mainstream media and keep your head.
That's the craziest thing.
Incoming message.
Hello? I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
We interrupt to bring you this.
We've hijacked your daily dose of regurgitated news to bring you Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed.
Will you be ready?
And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth on this lovely Sunday, and we're all on the same clock this week. I guess the States did their fallback last night, and we did it last week. So now today we're all on the same page, which is really nice. But I remember I used to look forward to like in the early years of being in the States, I used to look forward to there being only a 4-hour difference between New York and Scotland, versus the 5-hour, because I was always like trying to work out if I was waking them up or if it was too late, but we got it done eventually, so we did. And I also really appreciated living in Arizona because they did not touch their clocks, so that was a treat. I liked that. I just don't know why they do this. I really don't. So I had, I believe I got to Steph Northcott. She's just the sweetest, sweetest lady, and she's still my yoga teacher, and she's Willow's yoga teacher, and we just appreciate her. So we do. And it was May 7th, 2023. I had Lisa M. Harrison. Now, what I should say is Athena, Darius, and Lisa, they're all connected. Darius and Lisa are married, and I believe that Athena has done like maybe online workshops with Darius and Lisa, and they bring different perspectives, but there seems to be like what would you say, an objective, like a common objective between them. And Lisa M. Harrison. Now, I had been familiar with Lisa M. Harrison's work for quite a while, and I'm trying to think what was the first interview I heard her. I think it was Og Tales. I think it was because I was following, or at least I was listening to the videos that Og Tales was putting out. I don't know, maybe when was it, like 2000, I can't remember, 2015. It was when I first came back here, because what I was looking for was people who had similar experiences to the one that my partner had been experiencing, and that was my partner who committed suicide. So I was looking for individuals who were talking about some of the stuff that he had been talking about. And Og Tales was one of these people. And so that, I believe, was why I found Lisa Harrison, was she had done an interview with Og Tales. And then it was a case of, like, I liked what she was saying. I liked her energy, her whole vibe, and her approach. And also, it was kind of fascinating. She had managed to get all these big names, like, to come and be on a show. But if you looked at her YouTube channel, like back in the day, she didn't have a grand following. I mean, it was I think she might be up to about 20,000 now, but back in the day, I mean, it was like 2,000, maybe 3,000, or maybe even 1,000. It wasn't a huge following, but it has grown over time. And yeah, Lisa M. Harrison, again, thank you for coming on the show, because for me, it's like I had listened to a lot of these individuals, and I was kind of building my own picture, kind of what was going on. So it was kind of nice to have like a voice to voice, like no a face to face. It was a voice to voice. It was nice because then you get like a whole other element, like the energetics, and yeah. Deeply appreciate Lisa M. Harrison being on the show. Thank you very much. And then I had Madeline Rudy. I mean, how lucky am I? Madeline came back May 14th, 2023. May 14th is actually the anniversary date. My parents were married in May 14th, I think it was 1960. And yeah, and Madeline again, we just have great conversations, where we can ask the other, why do you think that? Like, what do you feel about this? And the respect the other's response. Like, I have a deep respect for Madeline and her knowledge, and it's quite extensive. So a big thank you to Madeline. And then, excuse me, sorry, clearing my throat here. I should have hit my mic. But it was May 28th, 2023, and I had Willow. I'm going to share something with you that Willow, we were talking about this last night, and she said to me, do you actually know, like, the difference between a million and a billion? And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, well, like, the whole concept here is kind of just a concept, because I've seen pictures, they'll say this is a million in a truck, or this is this. But she broke it down for me. She said to me, all right, Mum, think of a pound or a dollar, right? She says, no, take that and transfer it into seconds. She says, so you have 1 million seconds. She says that translates to 11 days. You have 1 billion seconds. That translates to 37 years. So get your noggin around that one, Like, I mean, really, it kind of puts it in perspective. And also, like, why inflation is where it is, Like, yeah, I'm not going to say any more about that, but I think you know where I'm coming from. I mean, 37 years and a million's 11 days. I would manage the million, Like, that would be fine by me. So that was Willow, and that was May 28th. So this is what I mean. She comes out with these things, like, she will tell me these things, and it's like, wow, that puts it into perspective. So it does. It looks like June 4th was dealing with the stress of current events. I was solo, I believe, and I kind of touched back into my roots, like with the Green Witch, the Wise Women, the traditions that I had. Like, this is stuff that it never leaves you, when you learn it. Like, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Like, I know what the wild weeds are, or herbs are that are growing around. I know like more than a basic, like I understand the dynamic between nature and us, and if you want to call it nature, like, again, it all comes down to like a resonance, like, or the field what Renee spoke about. And one of the things that the wise woman Susan Wade had told me was, and I never ever forgot this, and it was take a look at what's growing around your house. Take a look at what's outside your front door. What have you got there? Like, what's popping up? Like, are there weeds popping up? Like, do you have burdock? Do you have dandelion? Maybe chickweed? And the reason she said this was that particular weed was there because you needed it. And I thought, wow, like, it makes perfect sense when you're living in harmony and balance, right? That is the way that it would be, And she has an awesome place, the Wise Women's Centre in Saugerties. It's next to an old slate mine. And my friend who did the cable TV show with me, that's how we met. We met at Susan Weed's Wise Women's Centre, and she has geese and they act like guard dogs. And we were walking up the path and we were introducing each other. We linked arms immediately. It was like instantaneous friends, my friend Raquel. And Susan Weed is at the top of the hill shouting, "Run!" Because these geese were going to go after us. So we were running up to this Wise Women Centre, and it wasn't my first Moon Lodge, but it was the one where I met Raquel, and then we made the cable TV show. And no, I'll get to that later because I've reconnected with her again. Like, we've been in conversation, which is really exciting. So moving along, June 11th, 2023, I had Zoe, I had Miss B join me. And again, I don't think, she was just having such a wild ride. Like, life was throwing her all kinds of curveballs, like it was head on a swivel, she wasn't getting a break, it seemed, like anywhere, like people kind of stealing her ideas, like scammers, like a whole lot of stuff. But she's delightful. And again, I recommend you check out her artwork. Her artwork, it's a specific genre, and it's a niche, it's she did that cowgirl poster. I just love it. I think it's fun, it's fun. And I also see some of Zoe and her characters. I do see that. Moving along, June 18th, I had Dr. Robert Young. And basically, I had him on because he had released a book. And I read the book. The book was full of great information. What can I say about Dr. Robert? Dedicated, intelligent, and always seems to be in places that I find interesting. So yeah, I deeply appreciated reading his book. I think there's great information in the book, and I believe he is a genuine individual who's attempting to help others. That was my take on him. This was great. I had Leo Bonomo. And I think I shared with you, like, Leo had been saying about my mom, and he was dead on. I tell you, he was dead on, because they were ready to operate on her left eye, wrong eye. It was right eye. And also he had said to me, what was it he said to me? It'll be good for you in December. And I think this was back in June. He had said that to me, and I was like, I can't wait all the way to December. But look at that. We're right next door now to December. So chances are I'll be dropping you a wee email there, Leo. And he's such a genuine good guy, like decent human being. I mean, I had conversations with him about the Scottish witch here. Well, they called her Hellish Nell. But that was not a kind name. And he actually was friends, or he knew the granddaughter. So I found it really fascinating that like all these little like connections that get made, like seemingly they seem unconnected, and then they all kind of line up and they connect. I kind of love that. So I do. So yeah, big thank you to Leo. He's an awesome guy. And then I had, who did I have on? I believe it was Karen Ann Lucky McDonald. Now again, how did I know about Karen? Well, Og tells. It was an interview that I guess she arranged it. And it was about 9 years ago, I'm thinking. Again, it was when I first came back here, because I was trying to locate people. I was trying to find people that had similar stories. And she had set this interview up between Ogtails and who's the other person? Oh, Patty Bissard. That's who it was. And it was basically a 9-hour marathon, these two done. And Martha, you never really heard much for Karen in the interview. I mean, it was basically Patty and Og going back and forth, like sharing what they believed was this reality that we live in. And I would actually like to have heard more for Karen on that particular occasion. But again, that was how I found Karen. Was I was actually looking for videos that Ogtails had put out. So I found Karen and I found Lisa that way. And yeah, so, and that was an interesting interview because and I knew somewhat about her because Ogtails, I mean, I think he was saying that she was one of the people that he had saw like in the future, like he had saw like a bunch of different people. And I mean, he's I've had a couple of emails for him in the past. I would say maybe the past few months, and it's kind of interesting. I think he's on Substack and Twitter right now, but his Patreon's kind of there's nothing happening there, and his YouTube channel there's nothing happening there. I think he gets quite a bit of flack. For what he had said in the email was that he was basically kind of dodging bullets all the time. Like he was constantly, because I had invited him. I asked him if he wanted to come on. And also like just to let me know if he ever did, you know, so it's an open invite to him if he ever wants to come on, because I wouldn't mind talking to him on a voice to voice. And then moving, oh yeah, and the other thing about Karen was, oh, that's right, I made a mistake during that interview, and it was a movie that I was referring to, and it was a movie that was set in Australia, and it had to do with like kids that were kind of put on boats, and they were all kind of shipped to Australia. And I had said that it was Orange Grove or something like that. That was not the name of the movie. The movie is Oranges and Sunshine. It's like it's not a documentary, but it's based on true life. And what it was a lot of these kids grew up, internet came along, and they started finding each other on, and their parents were still alive. They had siblings, like this. It was just a shambles what had happened. And Karen had come on the show at the time of the release of the movie The Sound of Freedom, and we talked about that. I think she had went to she went to the premiere the night before, and I think there was some kind of disappointment. I think she would have liked it to have been more. But you know what? She had actually made a comment because I had brought up somebody about mitochondrial DNA, and her response to me was, "Well, they're getting it out there." So I think that's what Sound of Freedom is. You know, like it might not be as big as you might have wanted it, but it's getting it out there. And people can make up their own minds, you know, do their own research. And there's a lot of deceit and lies out there, so you have to be careful and use your discernment. And moving right along, we are in July 16th, and it's Jeff Wilwine. And I just love having, and you know, I don't say much when I have him. He's just so like passionate about what he does. And you can tell, you know, like he is just this wealth of knowledge about the petroglyphs, and he's also doing some kind of ghost thing that I've seen, like some kind of haunted. I don't really know. I need to look more at his posts, but there was something with the Queen Mary. He was putting together a little movie or something, so that will be something for people to look forward to. Yeah. Jeff Wilwine and Petroglyphs in the Sky. And I am just moving right along here. And it is, where am I? What one? Patricia Hill. July 23, 2023. And this was the first time I had Patricia on the show. And it was just, again, it's an intuitive thing with me. I was going through like the archives, Life in the Hologram, and I was just skipping through them, and I don't know what it was. I was like, and I sent her an email, and like, she cracks me up. She gives you like one word like responses. Like, she's very straight. And we talked a couple of times before she came on, and it was really, really interesting. I think I've kind of made a friend there. You know, I get the feeling Patricia will be somebody that is around for a while. Like, and I really, really appreciate her, so I do. And she's went through it. She really went through it the last few months. So she has, and but she's a doing. I think she had went for some kind of infusion, and last time I checked with her, she's doing better day by day. You know, she's the way she described it was like an ancestral sadness that she had experienced, and that kind of makes sense. You know, like that we would feel that at some point in our lives, especially like with the stuff that's gone on around us, and we're all like, what? Why? Oh no, you know, like, you know, I could say so much about it, but it's important that we recognize that it's not so much changing the world as it is about changing ourselves, you know, or actually being kind enough to ourselves to actually do the deep work that might be required is, you know, while we're still here. And I believe a lot of people have done that work, and they have they've only deepened it, you know, and I think Patricia's one of those people. And I deeply appreciate just finding her, you know. And you know, it was funny, the conversation that we had, it was hysterical. She was asking about where I was, and I was telling her like about where I was on the map, and the boats, and that we had a new boat, and the new boat is the only boat, and it's called Alfred. And she had told me she had had a past life experience where she had been Alfred, King Alfred, like at England. And I had never even heard of King Alfred, you know, so that was something I learned. And I thought it was interesting that the boats that had showed up was was called Alfred. Like, I mean, a little synchronicity. And I can hear the music in the background. I can talk, that's for sure. And thank you, listeners, for sticking in here with me. And I will be back in 3 minutes.
You're listening to Navigating the Truth with Caroline Bell Tumblety, where the truth survives and the lies are exposed.
I just want to assure you that everything is under control. There's been no damage except for some temporary malfunction of the radio.
Come be a part of this awakening by joining us.
We're pushing the ultimate frontier here.
Control must be maintained.
More disinformation exposed and the truth discovered. After a word from our sponsor.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you. You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by calling the show, examining the narratives, and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth. I had forgot to mute my mic, so I hope you didn't hear me breathing as I'm sitting here. Anyways, back to, like, I'm having so much fun here, like going through, like, and I'm remembering because it's a year, you know. So it was July 30th, and I had Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. Again, I had no idea that Dr. Kimberly McGeorge had been interviewed by KCOR Radio, and I was kind of going through the archives, and it was Life in the Hologram, and I saw Kimberly McGeorge, and I thought, wow, looky here. And I thought to myself, I'll send her an email, because I had already come in contact with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge maybe 3 years prior, and it had to do with again, I'm searching. I have questions. Like when my partner committed suicide, it was not acceptable to me in any shape or form. And I had seen him transform, like literally transform right before me, and become a shadow of the person that he was. And Dr. Kimberly McGeorge was I believe she was friends with Akvel Saval. I believe that's how you pronounce it. She's Lithuanian, and Rich West. Now, I had come across Rich West because when I would put in a search, and basically it was a search for like entity attachments, like what kind of, because my partner had was describing hearing things and things. Yeah, with it going in here. Anyway, so Rich West had offered alien contact or something, looking for aliens, or like, can we and it was basically like a remote view kind of thing that we did. And Kimberly McGeorge was there, and Agvilla and Rich, and there was one other guy, I can't remember his name. I think he was from California. But that's how I met her. So totally unrelated for the frequency healing that she does. It was right out of the box. And so it was interesting to have Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, because she has a very unique perspective on this realm. And I think she said I was a double-stranded reptile, but I don't remember ever asking her. And also, like, this is, I think this is partly how there are individuals that perceive this reality that we live in. And that is obviously part of the reality that she perceives. And I did enjoy having her on there. It was nice to kind of chat with her, because I had seen a completely different side for her than this side that I kind of didn't really know anything about. Like, I didn't know that that she was involved in the frequency, and that was something else that, I had. Who was it? Dr. Richard Allen Miller. I remember back in the day, and it was it Bill Smith? Was that his name? And it was HoloSync. In fact, I remember being sent a demo. And what it was the hotel that I worked in, like we would pipe music into the rooms and stuff. But this was a special process that had, I think it was Bill Smith that had came up with. He does the whole HoloSync thing, and it was the layering, the frequencies and the music. And when you put your headphones on, like the sample that had been sent, it was a fly buzzing, and the way that the recordings were made, it felt like it was flying around your head. And there was other sounds. I mean, this was probably the early 2000s that I had come across this, and I believe that it was Dr. Richard Allen Miller was in some sort of partnership with Bill Smith, and they produced some of these HoloSync. I think before that it was something else they called it. It's almost like that biofeedback, that kind of like the frequencies that they use for meditation and stuff. Like it was all that, like we embedded suggestions, and very, very interesting. So I had somewhat a understanding what it was that they were doing as far as these frequencies and these scalar waves. And I think as long as we have energy that is the way that it is on this planet, we need to clean it up. We have to clean it up. The energy, like how we electricity, like microwaves, all of it. It needs the way that we distribute energy needs to be cleaned up. That's my 10 cents. And then I had Russ Tanner again, and awesome. I have such a great rapport with Russ, and he is so like he's such a good talker about what it is that he has, and his research is extensive. It is, and it's all backed up. I mean, he's got years and years and years of tracking this. So a big thank you, Russ. And then I had my daughter Willow, and she probably listened to me rant, and she would give in like her nice manner and her balanced opinions. And then August 20th, I had, I talked on Ancient Scotland, because this is like, when I get enthusiastic, but it can get disappointing because you do hit dead ends, like especially when you're trying to piece together like a time frame. And if dates have been changed, names have been changed, places have been changed, secrets have been kept, it does get difficult. So, like, that's where America came in. America has been a tremendous resource, like, as far as Scottish history goes. Like, the Scottish people who immigrated there, they done a fine job of preserving this stuff. And the stuff, a lot of it is directly from there. And yeah, so, and I think I talked about like the tour that I want to put together in May. I'm still working on that, and that's still happening. And then I had the wonderful Patricia Hill come. Now, I remember after the first interview I had with Patricia, we went deep with some stuff. And I have worked through a lot of the grief. Like I've had time to work through it. But there seems to be like kind of remnants of things, and I had this pretty strong allergic reaction. But to the honey that I had bought for Estonia, and what happened was I hadn't had that kind of reaction in a long, long time, and the last time that I had it was right after my partner had died, and he was allergic to avocado. And my daughter was trying to make me eat something, so it was like one of my favorite sandwiches is basically avocado cheese and sprouts, alfalfa sprouts. And I'm eating the sandwich, and all of a sudden my lips start swelling, my tongue starts swelling, my hands are bright red. I'm having an allergic reaction. But I am not allergic to avocado. My partner was. So I think what it was I took it all on. And I knew that. I think that was why I was searching the way that I was searching. I was determined to get to the bottom of it. And but I was still carrying. I was still carrying stuff. I hadn't quite let it go. Like I let go in stages. And that first interview that I had with Patricia, it triggered something, and I let it go. So I did. And when she came on, she was also going through stuff. So I think we kind of had this effect on each other that kind of shifted energy. And that's a lot of the times that's why we come together with people, or they stand out to us. There's some kind of work to be done here. And let's see, I am now at September 3rd, and it was David Collis. I really enjoyed this interview. Very, very interesting gentleman, like talented, multi-talented, and still haven't been able to read that book, David, because you have to have it published. It has to be there. And I guess he had a falling out with the publisher, but he was working on it. So I'm hoping to read his book, and it was A Conversation with Jesus, the Man. I think that will be fascinating. And then I had a lovely lady. I had Molly Murray, who's actually she's not a local, she's from America, but she's living here in the same town, and she opened a bookstore uh, maybe 2021, and I invited her to come on, and she's a really interesting lady and an interesting story and quite a challenge in her life, but she seems to be overcoming it. And this is a great addition to the town. Like the bookstore is wonderful. And I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days after it, um, and she did talk to me. Like she had posted on Facebook that she had hired somebody for music because she was putting together a podcast. And I thought, and I just said, I'm glad I inspired you and all the best. And when she premiered her show, I made sure like to send her a message that I hadn't had a chance to listen to it, but I would listen to it, and that she was to shine on. Didn't hear back there. But yeah, great bookstore. Still keep using the bookstore. And then maybe I had Willow again. See, Willow will fill in for me. Isn't she like just a darling? I mean, she will come and because her mommy's gone into a wee bit of a panic, doesn't have a guest, and no, I'm going to talk about it. And Willow will just come and she just, she's right there. And then I had David Cook, and I believe we had a blast with this show. I mean, I think I was on his show later that night, and we were just being silly, really, really silly. I think the first time I had David on, Tina Marie was pulling all kinds of jokes, so putting his face on Borat's body, and like, I don't even know if I could talk for laughing. It was so funny. And I think we were talking about flying unicorn boats and whatnot. So yeah, David is so much fun. I really appreciate him, and stay tuned for his show. It comes on after Cosmic Connection, and also like stay tuned after my shows. Cosmic Connection after Cosmic Connection is the Ghosty Hour 2.0. And October 8th we had Zoe B, and again it was like, oh my God, this girl, she has been through it, I tell you. But I think what happened on this show is she's settled somewhere. I think she's bored out of her mind and looking for friends and things. But you know what? I think she's safe where she is, and it'll give her time. And I really look forward to see what Zoe's going to do. Zoe's going to do great things. She really is. And then I had Patricia again, and I think it was this was a great show. Like this was the sadness. This was about the ancestral sadness, and she had some really good information to give to some of the listeners. Yeah, I really do appreciate Patricia Hill. Like she's a great addition to my life, And then I had Willow. Yeah, I had Willow. Like I think there's a pattern happening here. I like talking, and I like talking about all kinds of subjects, and I get hungry for information. So I do. I get hungry for to get to the bottom of things. So this is a really good outlet for me, and I never imagined in a million years that I would be doing it, but here I am. And then I had the lovely Madeline Rudy, and that was October 29th. That was just last Sunday. Madeline was on, and every time it's like I sit down to have a conversation with Madeline, we go deeper and deeper. It's like we are just unpacking like our life experiences and kind of comparing them and like going, oh, yeah, I had that idea too. And deeply appreciative of Madeline Rudy and Merlin the Wizard. Their show, Life in the Hologram, is a tremendous show. There's so many tremendous shows here. Hyperspace on a Friday night, like you have David Cook, you have Leo. We have so many, and there's something here for everybody. There is. And a big thank you to Tina Marie for giving the opportunity for the host to come on here, and also for these guests, these tremendous guests that they've been given a voice, where they weren't being listened to, or they were being shadow banned, and that's not happening here. It feels liberating, I'll tell you, especially as things get even more bizarre. But I don't think it's going to last long. That's my take on it. This is not a permanent situation we're in. And I wanted to mention, like, going forward, like, I'm talking to a couple of different people. I've been talking to a really cool guy who's in Wales, and he has been kind of researching all kinds of things, but mainly our mythologies, our ancient ancestors, and he's been tying in, like, he uses like allegory. I can never say that word. You know what I mean? And he'll use that, so it's kind of a generalized it's generalized ideas of certain times on the planet and certain individuals, like Moses, the Mithric traditions, Celtic, all the Egyptians, and he's tying it into autonomy, like some of the symbols that they use, what that actually does to the body. And he's also like looking at like herbs and tinctures, and he's just a really interesting person. And we have had a couple of conversations, and I'm going to have him on, like, and we're going to. I don't know if we're going to do a series or like maybe a couple of episodes or a couple of shows, like a part 1 and a part 2. He covers quite a bit of ground, but the beauty of him is, if you find some of what he's saying interesting, he's giving you like a jump off point or a connection or a link to go and do your own research. So I'm really looking forward to having him on. The other one is my friend Raquel, who was my co-host on the show that we did in Woodstock many moons ago. In fact, I used to have all the tapes, but when I moved back here, they got thrown in the tip. So, and I mean, I had quite a lot of tapes, videotapes, the show, and we had a lot of guests on that show, writers, psychologists, stream analysis. I remember having this, what was his name, Radagasta, and what he did was he made like organic skin creams and lotions, and I had a blast doing that. And Willow, I even had her on video, and she was doing her ABCs. That's how, she wasn't even at school yet. She was maybe 3. Yeah, I think maybe 3. So Raquel is in Holland. She actually, I think that's why we kind of connected with each other. We were both immigrants. She was from Holland, I was from Scotland, and we just had a connection instantly. She went back to Holland in 1997, and I still kept in touch with her, but we lost touch, like I would say maybe before the pandemic. So back in touch with her. She's now an elder. She does women's ceremonies, rites of passage, and still doing her moon lodges, sweat lodges, weed walks, herbs, like the whole bit. And she seems to have really immersed herself in these wise women traditions. So I'm really looking forward, because we have quite a bit of catching up today since we had the TV show. So that's on the horizon. I'm thinking she's actually working in ceremony right now, so it's going to be like maybe December before I can get her on. And I have another gal that an old dear friend in the Catskills, Laurie, and she does the weather report there in the Catskills. And I mean, I've known Laurie over maybe 35 years. Been through a lot. Like, we knew each other way back. She had a daughter, same age as my daughter, and yeah, I'm going to have her on. So that should be a laugh. That should be like a really fun show. She was always a blast. And I need to catch up with these people, you know, like we kind of lost touch with each other. And oh yeah, my website, I managed to get through that. I'm really, really proud of myself. And I want to thank every single one of these guests that I had on the show. It was a great honor. Thank you for the bottom of my heart. And I hope you will come back sometime in the future. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. My website is souliam.org or .net. And I have some information about what I'm doing in May 2024. If you want more details, you're going to need to email me. I'm not going to be putting it up on the web, and I'll be talking very little about it beforehand. So if you want to be involved in it, you're going to need to get in touch with me. I have about right now I have 4 people, and it's not going to be a big group. You know, it's not going to be a big group. So that's that piece of information out. I still have the YouTube channel, and I think I had like 47 subscribers, and I want to thank them all. I am just so delighted. And I also have it on Odyssey, and it's Caroline Bell Tumblety. Facebook, same thing. I am Caroline Bell Tumblety. I'm not really using Facebook, and I just find it a drag, you know. I just, like, sometimes it's useful. It is nice to see what others are doing occasionally, like, but I don't really want to know what you had for your breakfast, your dinner, or your lunch. But I do like to know about interesting places that people have visited, or the projects that they're working on. Like, I like that aspect of it. I also love there's some really cool AI art coming out, and I know it's never going to do away with the originals, the painters, like the artists. Like, I think that's the fear a lot of the times, is that we can become defunct. I think music, there was, oh, look at that. I cannot believe it. Can you believe I talked that much? Oh my goodness. I will be back next week, listeners, and stay tuned for Cosmic Connection up next. Thank you so much, and have a great evening, day, week. I'll be back next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Navigating the Truth, a show that will inspire you to transform the world around you, including your health. For more information on the show, Navigating the Truth, and the host, Caroline Bell Tumblety, as well as services she offers, please visit her website at souliam.org. That's SOULIAM.org.
It's as simple as that.
Navigating the Truth live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I see incredible potential here.
Stop being corrupted by the mainstream media and keep your head.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled feed of lies. Until next week, of course. This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.